So, in today's episode I'm gonna answer the most asked question so far. How much did my property cost? How high is my cost of living here each month? And how do I finance all of this? So, how much did my property cost? Let's get straight to the point. The total cost of my property was $26,900 US, which in my opinion is a really good price for a 1,000 square meter lot close to the beach in comparison to most other offers I were looking at. And this already includes the sale price that you put in the final contract, the commission fees I had to pay to the person taking care of the property, and because the owner was not living in Costa Rica anymore. This is similar when you buy through a real estate agent, but then it's usually already included in the price. The commission can range between 3 to 6% of the sale price. And thirdly, the cost of the lawyer, which is required to make any legal purchase here in Costa Rica, plus the fees he has to pay to the government to register the property in the National Registry. Together this can also range between 3 and 6% of the sale price. And at last I had to pay the property tax of 2020 in advance, which is only 0.25% of the sale price each year. So in my case, this wasn't a lot of money, but if you want to buy a bigger property, this is definitely something to keep in mind. You might ask, how did I find the property? I found it through some connections I had, and I did not hire a real estate agent, but hiring a professional probably would have saved me a lot of stress and hassle, because I had to do most of the paperwork myself, which took me like 2 months to figure everything out by myself. I will make a separate video on how to buy a property, where I'm going to explain the whole process in detail, but in this video I just want to talk about the financial aspects. A lucky coincidence was that the owner of the property was German himself, which made the whole payment process much easier, because I just had to transfer the money to another German bank account. So there were no transfer fees involved, which can get a problem if you have to transfer large amounts of money to a Costa Rican account. So all in all, I think it was a pretty good deal for both of us. The next question, what else did I pay for in February? So for all the backhoe work you saw in the previous video, I spent a total of $423 in that month. As I already mentioned in my last video, I paid $2,400 for the container, plus $9 for the fees for getting the money out of the ATM. So that's something you always have to keep in mind if you need to get larger amounts of money here in Costa Rica. I also bought some small tools, for which I only spent $30. So overall, I spent a total of $29,744 US in February. But this does not include the normal cost of living, which I want to keep separate to get a better picture on how much I spent just for the project alone. How high was my cost of living for February? So this is a very important tip for you guys. If you want to save money, I highly recommend tracking everything you spend. This helps you to see where most of your money goes and in which areas you could improve and save some money. You just have to get used to putting everything in your phone as soon as you buy something, because then it doesn't require much of work. For this I'm using an app called Money Manager. I put a link in the description. It's totally free and I'm not sponsored by them, but I really like it. So, this is how it looks. You just hit the plus sign and add every expense or income you make. Then you can choose a date, the account you used, and different categories and currencies, which can be all customized by yourself. What I really like about it are the stats. In this cake chart, you can very clearly see where you spend most of your money. There you can even click on a category, for example food, which shows you the subcategories, so you can see exactly where you're spending too much money. For example, I could have saved $60 by not eating in a restaurant. So let's discuss my total expenses for February. As you can see here, I spent $300 for rent, $215 for food, $152 on transportation, which is mostly gasoline, which was a little bit high this month because I had to drive a lot, and I also bought a 20-liter tank full of gasoline as a backup, so it's kind of an investment for the future as well. Then I spent $45 on apparel, which was basically the cost of my hat, so usually this is a lot less. And then $9 for business, which is the cost of my prepaid card in my phone, and $6 for household, which were some cleaning products, because I had to move to a new apartment to live closer to my property. So overall, I spent $727 that month. But I want to point one thing out. I'm living very minimalistic, and I try to eat as cheap as possible at the moment to save as much money for my project. I don't smoke, I don't drink any alcohol or coffee, and I don't eat much meat. I also don't have any insurances right now, or any loans or debts. So I understand this is not for everybody, and you probably should count twice as much when you first come to Costa Rica, because it's not a cheap country at all. Some people call it the Swiss of Central America for a reason. So please keep this in mind. I just want to show you which is possible. How do I earn my money? For this, let's look at the income tab in the app for February 1st. So I have a small side job here for a real estate company, which brought me $308. I also run a side business as an independent photographer and filmmaker specialized in real estate photography in Costa Rica, which made me $570. If you are interested in what I'm exactly doing, you can watch my recent work on my other YouTube channel and on my website. The link is in the description. And yes, to do this legally, I also have to pay some taxes here in Costa Rica. This includes the value-added tax of 13% and the income tax of 10% or higher, depending on your income, at the end of each year. In comparison to Germany, this is still a lot better. And since I just add the value-added tax on top of my prices, and my income of last year didn't even reach the minimum taxable amount, I haven't really lost any money so far by that. Besides that, I also sell stock footage on Shutterstock, which brought me $192 that month. So overall, I earned $1,070 in February and just spent $727, which means I actually made a plus of $343. But this was before the coronavirus hit Costa Rica, so right now it's a little bit hard to make any money, which on the other hand gives me more time to put into my project and my YouTube videos, so it's alright for now. How do I finance my whole project? I never mentioned this so far, but when I left Germany 2.5 years ago, I didn't just come here to Costa Rica right away. First, I bought a sailboat together with a friend in Colombia and lived on it for 9 months. We sailed to Panama and the San Blas Islands and didn't spend much money during this time. It was an amazing experience, which I probably should make a separate video about. It also taught me how to live very minimalistic and self-sustainable. Unfortunately, our plan to cross the Pacific Ocean didn't work out, so I ended up selling the boat in Panama, but I even managed to sell it at a profit. With this money and the rest of my savings, I came to Costa Rica alone and didn't really touch it since then, until I bought my property now. Most of these savings came either from my old job, which I had in Germany for 5 years, or from my parents and grandparents. Because since I was 16, I never really wanted anything for my birthday or for Christmas, so they just gave me some money every time. But I always knew that at some point I'm going to need this money, so that's why I never touched it and kept saving it for 12 years. I was never a very materialistic person and always just bought the things I really need, but I still had a good life. I just was very resourceful with my money. Some of you might think now, that's a lot of money. Then let me put it into perspective. If you would work just for 5 years and save $1,000 each month, you would have exactly the amount I had saved. So it's definitely possible. It's just a matter of priority on what you spend your money on. My whole goal with this channel is to prove to you and to myself that in order to fulfill your dreams, you don't have to be rich. I actually come from a very normal middle-class family, and most of my friends back then had more money than I did. I just didn't waste it all on materialistic things. As you might have noticed by now, I want to be very transparent with my channel, also about money, because I have the feeling that in our modern society, most people are afraid to talk about this topic, especially in Germany. But this just creates more secrets, envy and hate. And this just helps the people in power to control us. So I hope we can learn to talk more openly about money, since it's such a big part of our lives. And while I'm already talking about money, I want to mention that I put a lot of effort, time and money into making these videos, and I want to continue to give out all this valuable information for free. But for those of you who want to support me, I have opened a special bank account as well as a PayPal account where you can donate some money directly to me if you want to. The information is in the description. I also created a Patreon page where you can join me. If you never heard of Patreon before, it's a website where you can support content creators with a small monthly subscription fee, and as a thank you, you will get some bonuses. For example, will I mention all of my new Patreon supporters at the end of each video by name, or you will get some exclusive behind the scenes videos. I still have to think about the different tiers, but there will be coming more information soon on my Patreon page. Link is also in the description. And for those of you who just like to watch my content, don't worry, everything will stay completely free here on YouTube and you don't have to pay anything. To be honest, I'm not expecting to get much out of this, but one important lesson I learned in my life so far is to always be open to new possibilities, because you never know what the result is going to be if you don't even try. That's why I just wanted to give you this option. What you make out of it is completely up to you. So thank you very much for watching and the overall positive feedback so far. This really motivates me to keep going. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a thumbs up and feel free to ask me anything in the comments. I usually try to answer every one of them. In the next episode, I will be working on the concrete feed for my container, which you can watch by clicking here as soon as the next episode will be released. And if you missed the last episode on how I bought my container, you can watch it up here. So until then, have fun, see you.